harvesting the power of the sun. So this battery pack that I have said it could be used with a solar charger, but with a different cable connection. So instead of using the cable connection it recommended, I'm using this kind of car charger, male to female setup here, and it seems to be working just fine. This actually is a trickle charger designed for cars, just to kind of keep batteries kind of going. So it's not a super great source of power. And I like this little setup I have where my laptop and everything sits perfectly as kind of like a mobile unit. This is everything all packed up and ready to go. And actually, these stills were taken at the end of the test run. And as you can tell by the smile on my face, things went swell. So now let's go back to the beginning of things, I guess. Actually, this is kind of a little bit past where I stopped the first test run, where I wasn't fully loaded up. Now, technically, this stretch of road is closed. And the barricade I'm heading towards right now is actually going back to the open section of road. I was excited actually when I seen the road was closed, thinking that it would actually be more like bad, and it really wasn't too bad. It wasn't like washed out. It wasn't super muddy or anything crazy. So, but I figure it's time to check and make sure everything kind of held true. I've yet to really test this cargo net setup for anything other than on top of like the milk crate truck setup that I have on the Super Cub for doing around town stuff. An absolute perfect spot to check out, make sure everything's okay. I haven't noticed anything slip or anything kind of funky behind me, but once again it's behind me, so it's kind of hard to tell if something did happen. At a quick glance, everything seems absolutely fine. I made a little bit different rigging setup so that way my tool bag wouldn't slip to my shifter side here too bad. The backpack was a bit of a concern because this is the first time I've actually used it with this cargo net setup, and it's not very heavy or anything, but just still, it's all new. Nothing seems to be shifting or budging. My biggest concern was the tripod here. It's kind of in a weird spot that seemed kind of openish, but it hasn't budged at all. And seeing the way the solar panel set up, well, like my concept was, I could flip it around and have it charging the battery bank as riding. But I didn't want to hook it up this time, just in case something did happen. I didn't want to make a catastrophe into a complete disaster. But thus far, everything is A-okay. And do try to keep in mind that this stretch of road I am on isn't closed, or wasn't closed, or whatever. And right off the bat, it actually seems a little worse than the road that was closed. I don't really understand why they closed the other stretch of road on that. Maybe the river washed over it or something, but it didn't really seem like it. And even in like spots like this, it seems more like potholed, and for those that are on two wheels, the sand's getting kind of loose and kind of sugar sandy, which is all perfect for me right now, because I'm trying to really run this through the ringer to see if anything's going to fall apart, and also see how well I can handle it well, because I can definitely notice that there's some weight behind me. Things seem to be a little bit different, and it's tracking a little bit, little unusual for me, but nothing I can't handle thus far. And this right here is why this stretch of road is great for testing / proving your own kind of things, because now we're on tarmac. It's not the greatest tarmac, but there's tarmac. It's pretty unusual. I don't know why this little stretch is here, because there's not much here. There was like two houses, and then it goes on for quite a while. And you'll see here shortly that it actually kind of stops at this kind of private. As I was approaching this, I kind of knew something might be coming up, because there's now water to my right, and we're kind of ascending on the road here. So there's this little bit of wallop of mud. And once again, I'm not really too comfortable with the weight behind me. It's not bad. It hasn't really been anything too weird. It's just this is all new. So I'm coming in way slower than I probably really needed to. And I noticed that there's some bicycle track in it, so it's kind of following that dude's line, kind of, except he crosses over into like some really bad mud right here. It's kind of weird because I don't really know why I stopped. Everything was going fine, but it was kind of a good thing I did, because there's this older couple behind me. And I decided to follow this line because it didn't look too squishy. And really everything was fine. Once again, I don't know why I was so trepidatious moving into that. And it was actually kind of fun. So here's another one of my favorite turnoffs onto the Bohemian River Road. There's quite a few little spaces you can walk out to off the road to kind of do fishing and whatnot. But this is kind of almost set up like you could use it as a campsite, even though I probably think that's illegal. I'm not really sure. I guess as long as you don't have a fire. But as you can kind of see here, everything's still kind of got that weird silty mud, and I didn't really want to go play in the mud today. So there's not a whole lot more to report on this adventure for the most part. To my final destination, that is, of this kind of little nature trail not far from Saginaw Road. But I will say that there's this other little goofy stretch of tarmac coming up after this horrible, horrible stretch here. And this one's really strange because it only goes on for like maybe a quarter of a mile. Practically where that car is up ahead is where it ends. Actually, I was really tempted to go down that other side road there to the right, but I don't want to get in trouble. So realistically, we're just going to go up to the park and turn around, and there's only a few things that I'm going to show on the flipper list. This park's actually kind of cool. I forget the name of it, but those that live in Midland probably know what I'm talking about. If not, well, come to Midland and figure it out. It's on Tittabawassee River Road. It's the only park on it. Of course, I dropped my club. But I want to illustrate that if I was on a bigger bike, your usual touring style bikes, I'd have to dismount to pick it up. So these little bikes have all sorts of advantages. Not just like kind of completely boo-boo on those that have the nice larger adventure bikes. They are also quite nice. But these ones are more my style. So this stretch, kind of going back to where it went to dirt, where I left off, if any of that made sense, is kind of a longer stretch of really, really nice tarmac. So another good opportunity to wind out the Super Cub here, or I should say Brush Cub, and see what it can do with the new gearing. I did it on the way to the park, but my GoPro, for whatever reason, turned off. And I don't know if I wasn't hitting the gears right or what it was, but at about this point in time, I'm in fourth gear, and I was trying to pay attention because you can't see it too well. I want to say, yep, it takes a second. Here, because I was paying attention to the mailbox on the left there, is I'm now a little over 40 miles an hour. And I still have the hammer down. And I can feel the acceleration, you can kind of hear it. And I know we're coming back up dirt, and I started slowing things down probably a little prematurely. I want to say I got a little past 45, maybe 46, 47 miles an hour. On the route to the park, I was able to get it up to a little past 50, 51, 52 miles an hour. And with the new gear, it actually uses that to pay attention to like the actual speed itself. And other people say that when you put the 16 tooth on, it actually changes it about 3 miles an hour. So you're actually going 3 miles an hour faster than what it reports. Because that Bronco right there was about to turn around at that mud pit, or not even really mud pit, but that little stretch of mud until he seen me, which I think is kind of funny. So either which way, this is kind of the last little stretch of things I want to show off, because the next, 45 seconds or so was probably more fun than it looks like. So I just go for it, and I started remembering some of the things I watched about how to ride dirt bikes. So I'm up out of the saddle. I've actually have the horn of my seat kind of clenched between my thighs, which sounds kind of naughty now that I say it out loud, and really using everything to motivate the bike underneath me, and it went great. Yeah, so, but I think that pretty much ran its course for everything. It's just now time to go back home, and this will give me an opportunity to show off the fact that I've got another GoPro, so I can have more cuts to the same lane. Look at that super wide angle on this. And I almost looked cool, except there was a bucket there. So the gear that I'm wearing here is everything that I'll also be wearing on the trip. The fire hose pants from Duluth are actually bibs, and you can kind of notice on my little backpack I also have a board back there, so I have a place to have a better footprint for when I want to be up in my center stands in like marshy areas. And there's some other things I'll go over in the future, but I just kind of wanted to illustrate that as I gently fade out. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care out there.
Is there any stuck?
That's what it looks like.